Welcome to the dOrg Hot Seat. dOrg is a DAO. We pride ourselves on being a member-based Web3 development agency with deep expertise on DAOs. As such, we experiment a lot on the tools that we use, always trying to dogfood, always trying to organize ourselves better with these tools. We practice what we preach. One of the tools that we have been using lately is Palmera, the DAO orchestrator. A little insight of how we work. For each client project, we create a safe multisig to receive and manage the payments. This quickly spirals on many multisigs with different inputs and outputs, and even though everything is transparent on the blockchain, things like groups and address books make our life much easier. This is what Palmera brings to us. The dOrg Hot Seat is also a subteam in the DAO, but we don't have any specific clients. We bring to you our explorations with leaders in the space so you can get to know the best projects. You can help us continue this work by donating to our Giveth fundraising campaign. You'll find it at giveth.io/projects/dOrg-hot-seat, or just search for dOrg Hot Seat at giveth.io. Mark yourself as a supporter for the dOrg Hot Seat by donating. Your funds will probably be managed with Palmera tooling. And now Andy and José, co-founders of Palmera, will explain how.
My name is Andy, and here with me is José, my co-founder, and we're here to introduce Palmera, the DAO orchestrator. So we allow Web3 organizations to manage saves, integrations, automations, and credentials all in one place. Just, going quickly over the agenda, we're going to do a quick intro, then we're going to do a live demo, and then we're going to show you guys a video of what we're working on that is still not something that you can test it out. Today, we're mostly going to be using our test infrastructure, but if you want to go play with what we have in production, you can go to palmera.dao.xyz. Here's a QR code for your convenience. Both Jose and I believe that the tools that an organization uses and the quality of the output and the productivity that they have are completely correlated. We also believe that DAOs offer a new and valuable way to organize human intelligence without any sort of physical boundaries, which is truly necessary. We are big believers in the future of DAOs, and we embarked in this journey because we want to help shape that future. And if we look at the journey of DAO tooling throughout the last couple of years, we started with very monolithic, all-encompassing frameworks that were very rigid and didn't provide a lot of optionality. And in the last couple of years, we started seeing very cool applications such as Superfluid, Snapshot, Request, Finance, obviously Safe, that were very deep in one specific use case. However, as organizations started using more and more tools, the context of all of those tools started to be fragmented. And when you're coordinated a group such as dOrg, that is essentially many people in different countries, different cultures, maybe different languages, providing that context in a way that is essentially self-explanatory for the community is quite important. And the next generation, the one that we're creating, is essentially seamless clusterization, where we're grabbing all these composable DAO tools and putting them into one experience, one dashboard, so a one-stop shop, so you can contextualize your DAO operations. Additionally, in the last couple of months, we've seen increasing regulatory pressure without clear liability protection for core contributors and token holders. And we are also seeing that there is, from on-chain activity based on instantiations of saves, that there's more and more DAOs being created. And that's leading to more competition for capital, which is essentially pushing DAOs to have better transparency and to limit the downside for token holders. So we see ourselves as a tool for transparency. So what we are is really a one-stop platform for DAO management and tooling. We're providing a decentralization framework that allows you to enable the most popular DAO tools as plugins into a customizable experience that can contextualize your DAO operations. I guess maybe a bit more in depth, we're right now working in 3 different components. The first one is the visualization layer that allows you to aggregate the context of many multisigs into one view. So you can aggregate your treasuries. You can see multiple transactions. The second one is the DAO tool plugins, where you can, by just lighting a slider, enable a specific DAO tool without having to worry about how do you configure it, whether it's secure, whether it's going to work with your other tools. And the third component is the on-chain module that allows you to create a digital wrapper around all your multisigs. So it's essentially the DAO that is in control and not the signers. The signers still have autonomy as long as the DAO itself configures that autonomy. So it gives the DAO a bit more control. So with that, let's go into the live demo. So over here, you guys can look at a hypothetical DAO. This DAO has a couple of different multisigs, which, for the purpose of this demo, we're going to call them squads. Within this squads, the top level are grants, treasury, operations, research and development, and marketing. You can see that the USD value is aggregated over here at the top. See the composition of assets within all of the multisigs, which right now is just Ethereum. And you can see that you can actually expand the squads under the research and development squad, which include infrastructure, expenses and contractors, payroll, RPC endpoints, and you can even put squads under that. If we actually go then to transactions, you can filter by all the different squads that you have, such as treasury or let's say grants, or you can aggregate them all into one. You can also deep dive into a specific transaction. You could add a tag, you could add the description. You could also have a conversation if you wanted to. Here you can see our PM writing tests that he's not very enjoying too much. You can also have address books where you can either choose to have a local address book that is just a CSV similar to the Safe app, or you can choose to have an insider's book that is essentially a file that you can share with other people more easily. Additionally, you can configure your organization. So you can change the visibility preferences so you can be indexed in the results. Also change your privacy preferences so you can choose to be private if you wanted to. So if you don't want anybody to see your DAO but your core insiders, you can do that. If you want to make it public, you can also do that. You can change your handle, which is kind of like the unifying, UUID across the Palmera system. You can also subscribe to a specific DAO. So if you're exploring, let's say through the explorational view, you can go to a specific DAO. All of these are made of DAOs that are in our test infrastructure. So if you select a DAO that you like, you can actually subscribe. And if there's any transaction, any movement across the different numbers of multisigs, you will get alerted. Additionally, you have this user settings. So you can opt in into getting push communication protocol, previously known as EPNS. You could opt in. You can also opt in into your native operating system push notifications. And it also suggests other organizations that you can follow, as well as see the organizations that you already subscribe in. So here is a little kind of visionary demo of what we're trying to do, or video. So over here, you can show that this is viewing as an insider, and we have different plugins such as Request Finance or Superfluid or Snapshot X. Here we went into Request Finance, and we're looking at all the invoices that are essentially open and some that are paid. Here we're looking at the metadata of an already paid invoice. We're going to go exit out of here. Come pay. Here you can see we're reviewing an invoice that hasn't been paid. We can select out of the different multisigs that are available. We can choose one such as research, and we can actually see all the metadata details. And then after that, we're going to click on send. And we can sign all the way from here. We're fully using the Safe ecosystem contracts. So it's using their SDK. And then the really cool thing is that you can see that that within the transaction view is detecting that it's a request finance invoice and is displaying it as such. And then you can look at essentially at the metadata details within that same context. So you can imagine essentially this flow also for other plugins. We're grabbing all of this information and contextualizing it in the same experience. And with that, that's our demo.
Beautiful. Fantastic. Thank you so much. And thanks for keeping to the time. Not everybody does this. So very much appreciated.
Perfect.
I think you were showing the sort of like UI, and I think Andre has a question of one of the things that we have seen there.
Yeah, hey, thanks for the presentation. It's really cool. It's not clear how you define the squads from a logical perspective. In the logic of your app, what is a squad?
So the squad right now is essentially a safe multisig. And with our Palmera module, you can essentially then give powers to another squad over a child squad.
Oh, thanks.
I guess this is more from like the technical perspective. From a, I guess, human perspective, is essentially a small team that is tasked with getting something done on behalf of the DAO.
All right. So Niraj is in a loud place, so he has written the question. I'm going to ask his question. So how are you aggregating all this data that you're showing? First question. And second, how can you write a new plugin? Can you give us a bit of a walkthrough on how easy it is?
Yeah, of course. So the first question regarding how we're aggregating all of this data. So we started as a fork of the safe infrastructure. And then we've been essentially doing modifications where we're cleaning up and we're essentially creating an infrastructure that in a way uses the microservices from the safe infrastructure to create a many multi-sig infrastructure that allows people to get information from many multi-sigs in a performant manner. That's the first thing. We also use things like the graph and some other decentralized technologies. In terms of the plugin, from our roadmap, the first thing we're doing is we're creating first-party plugins. And then we're creating a framework so you can actually create hooks within the UI where you will be able to use our SDK to then deploy a tool. Obviously, this will go through a security review. And we're looking into other ideas about how to potentially separate the concerns of different processes. And I mean, I know there's probably a couple of people from Polywrap, so we also want to look into how we can essentially use that technology.
Excellent. Just a follow-up question. I think I just want to clarify. You said that you based your code on safe. Did you fork, say, the safe code base, or just the SDK?
Yeah, let me be very clear. So we're leveraging their smart contracts. There's no changes on the smart contract level. So if you have deployed a safe 2 or 3 years ago, you will be able to put it into our system. What we have done, and what we're working with the safe team to essentially create a many multi-sig infrastructure, where when we started, we essentially grabbed some of their services and we added some endpoints to be able to create a more endpoints that support many multi-sigs in one call. And now what we're doing is we are restructuring that and creating a infrastructure that leverages the services created by Safe, which will be open source, and you will be able to deploy it yourself.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you very much. Okay, speaking of this integration, what are some of the main DAO tools that Palmera integrates with?
Yeah, so the 3 target that we're looking into right now, or we're actively working on, is Superfluid, Request Finance, Snapshot Apps.
Okay, and do I need to use this? What happens if I want to use other tools than the ones that you provide? Are you sort of like the kingmaker of the space? Or?
No. I mean, we want to generalize an SDK. We want to generalize a framework, and essentially, you want to make a clean standard. So We want to be the best at providing that convenience to the organizations. So essentially, we're going to start with the first-party plugins, and then we're going to use those examples to then generalize an SDK that then we're gonna open source, and essentially people will be able to code against that interface. And so if some other people there and sometimes there's other people that want to do the same, then they can re-leverage that interface and then also provide a unified context for DAOs.
Beautiful. Thanks. So let's talk about privacy. Palmera deals with sensitive information, such as transactions, balances, governance structures, and how is the user data protected? And I know everything is public on the blockchain, but when users connect to you and your services, there's a very direct correlation of who is behind certain Anon accounts that are interacting with the DAO. What are sort of like the measures that you're taking to ensure the security and privacy of these users?
Yeah, that's a great question. First of all, we use Ethereum sign-in. So we're not using, an email password combo. That's the first one. The second one, we don't force you to give any information that you don't need to, as long as you have an Ethereum address. You can log in, you can invite people. The address book that we have that is shared, it's an opt-in basis, which you can also add an alias. So we're not forcing anyone to give their full name. And if you don't want to opt in, you can also essentially use the local address book through a CSV. And if you are worried about people being able to triangulate your position based on push notifications, you can also use EPNS.
Gotcha. Very nice. Perfect. Got one more question on the on-chain module. Would you, in 2 minutes, maybe that's too little, but would you be able to give us a bit of a technical walkthrough through the on-chain module and how it enables custom governance structures?
Of course. So I can do it, but I think you have the intellectual author over here, Jose. So I think he'll be much better suited for the task.
Yeah, definitely. I was coding it with other people on the team, so definitely I will try to do it short. So essentially, it's a safe module, of course, that all the safe are gonna need to approve, and then within this module we have like mapping the organizations within their multisigs, and we create like a hierarchical tree that is going to reflect which safe is the root safe, let's say, and if you want to add sub squads as we showed within the dashboard, you can just attach to that, and there is another authorization layer there with roles and permissions. So like a parent safe can have some actions on behalf of a sub safe, let's say. And this, in terms of everything of this logic, is within the module itself, and we're running all the verifications in terms of the authority and permissions there, and then for executing some code within safe, we have the power of the module and the function like execute from module, right? So that's the overview of the module.
Yeah, you can think of it like a Unix folder system.
Wow, guys! I didn't think that you would explain it so well in 2 minutes. That was fantastic. Thanks a lot for this explanation. We have time for one more question, and Andrei wants to ask about dispute resolution, something that pops up in DAOs very often.
Yeah, I mean, that's the question. Are you developing or including something for dispute resolution?
For dispute resolution, currently no. We know that there's Claros, which is fairly popular. We're still thinking about what would be the proper way of integrating it into our system, but that could be a potential plugin.
Yes, it could. Thank you.
No worries.
So just a question on the invoices piece. So if my DAO page is public, will everyone be able to see, for example, like all the request invoices that my DAO has interacted with, like even to the specific amounts and also the counterparties to the invoices?
Yes, that's a great question. So this is where like our privacy features come in, where you can essentially modulate the rights and permissions for different users from a visualization perspective. So you can set that only a subset of addresses has access to that specific section or plugin.
Okay, yes, that's awesome. Thank you.
No worries.
All right, and with that, we have gotten to the end of our time. But we do have some time. If you think we have forgotten to ask something that you would like to highlight, now it's the time to do so. And please also do share where people can find you on Twitter or your personal Twitters if you want us to follow you, and any sort of information that you would like.
Perfect. Yes, so if you could give us a follow, we would highly appreciate it. And any feedback, any plugin that you would like to see, that would also be highly appreciated. And yeah, try our experience, let us know what you think. And if you want to book a demo, there's also a call to action in the website. So feel free to ping us and we'll jump on a call with you guys super happily.
Thank you so much for this amazing presentation. Very to the point. That's how we'll like it. And you've held yourself very well in the hot seat. I think
Thank you.
If we were not already users of Palmera, I think we would love to give it a try.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you guys for the support. We really appreciate it. And yeah, like it's been a pleasure to be here.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.